Rev up your engines. When should you keep a car? When should you get rid of a car? Here is a 2004 Matrix all-wheel drive for $2,500. We're gonna go through it so you can see what you would go through deciding, are you gonna keep a car? Are you gonna buy a car that's used? Is it worth buying? This particular one is, as you can see here, the 1.8 liter engine. Probably the best engine they ever made. Same engine as in the Weiss Matrix. They can run forever, and they get phenomenal gas mileage too. Got a 4-speed automatic transmission. It can also last forever. My advice with these is, if it's the bigger engine, I wouldn't buy it. They had problems burning oil, but this isn't. The next thing you want to look at is rust. You can see these headlights have all faded away. You can polish them and try to clean them, or you can put better looking new ones like I did. These things are $42 a piece. So you can just buy new ones if you want. Now it's got another one, but it's got 260. It isn't rusted on the bottom. 70,000 miles more than this, but it's not rusted on the bottom. So let's take a look underneath. I gotta be honest, the unibody frame is rotting away. Sad but true. This is the driver's side. Let's check out the passenger side. There's some superficial rust, but the passenger side isn't all totally corroded like the driver's side is. On the outside of the passenger, look, it's clean, but on the driver's side, you can see it's rusty. Okay, how on earth did one side of the car rust and not the other? Well, I'm gonna tell you how. Water gets in through the pillars leaking, which he knows are leaking. It gets down there, and it rots things away over time. Now, I'm gonna continue going through the vehicle. I'm going to hook up my fancy scan tool, see what shape it's in. But since he has another one with no rust at all, his wife isn't going to be happy. But I'm probably going to tell him the other one, and he said he can bring it here. Bring me that one to check out, because I'm telling you right now, this is a unibody car. There's no frame on body. The whole thing is the frame and body. That's why it's called unibody. Once it's rotten like that, you really can't do diddly squat. I mean, you can't cut giant sections off and weld new sections in. You know, that's just not a plausible thing to do. In the case of this one, it's just got too much rust on that side. Eventually, of course, the other side would rust, but you can see it went the whole way through. Since it is unibody, it's not totally bad. It's mainly on the side there, but of course eventually you hit enough bumps and the frame will just unibody come apart. It's not like it's going to happen tomorrow, but it lives in Indiana, and I think it spent its lifetime in Wisconsin. He thinks it came from Wisconsin, which would make sense. They rot out like that from all the salt that they put on the roads there. And this is why. One, if it's got the bigger engine, probably don't buy it. Two, if that unibody's rotting away, definitely don't buy it. But we're going to put on a scan tool just to see what kind of shape the rest of it's in. So here we go with our hotel. We're going to do a full diagnosis of it. We'll do an auto VIN. You can see it's got 192,041 miles on it. You can see these things are great. They got so much room. This one's fancy. It even has a sunroof. And it is all-wheel drive. All right, let's see if there's any trouble codes. Trouble codes, that's good. So let's look at live data. Remember, black is good, red is bad. All that mileage, the short-term fuel trim is 0. It's perfect. Never ceases to amaze me how well these things can run. 192,000 miles. And the fuel trim is 0, meaning it's not adding or subtracting fuel. You'd think it would be off. Usually they're off maybe 0.5% or maybe 1%. This is at 0. Okay. You can see it runs perfectly fine, you know, shifts good, handles good. These things are always fun to drive around. Now, they do have somewhat of a rough ride, but that's just the way that they're set up for. They've got kind of a motorcycle cantilever system in the back, so they're rough riding, but when you're on a smooth road, they're fine. And this one handles perfectly fine. It's just a shame that unibody's starting to rot away. We'll take it to our little drag strip in a second. So here we go. Let's see, there's nobody behind us. Here we go with the drag strip test. Not a race car, but tranny shifts like a dream. My wife's Matrix is a little bit quicker, but you know, you're going 40, you want to pass somebody? Look, the speedometer slowly but surely reaches up towards 60. I mean, that 2022 Corolla I shot the other day was much faster than this. Nice, stable driving platform. Well, if it wasn't rusted, it's a great vehicle. It might go a few years before it finally rots enough that the seat will start sinking to the left, it's only going to continue to rust. Once rust starts, it can't stop. If it was a body on frame vehicle, if you wanted, you could take the body off the frame, put another frame on, which costs a fortune. Hardly anybody does that, right? Or guys will box them in. They'll get sheet steel and they'll box it in, weld it in on the frame, and if they're not carrying heavy loads, it might last quite some time. I did that with my son's Toyota pickup truck, and he drove it another 6 years until he sold it. He didn't carry heavy weights and he didn't tow anything with the truck, so it didn't make all that much difference. And since this is unibody and you're just driving it around, it still might go for a few years, and he's an honest guy. He doesn't want to fill it with Bondo, spray paint it and sell it to somebody else, so it might still last a few years. It'll run, I guarantee you. Whether the body falls apart or not, the engine and transmission will continue to spin. And since he has two of these things, he's even thinking, well, maybe he'll just keep this, and then if the engine finally wears out, he'll take the engine out of this, put it in the other one. I mean, this guy's got like 10 cars at his house, so he can do whatever he wants with it. And it's not a horrible deal, but as you've learned today, you look at one of these things, see which engine. If it's the 1.8, keep going. Those are great engines, right? My Matrix came from Arizona when I bought it. Spent its life in Texas and Tennessee. Now it goes to Rhode Island, but not in the winter. So I don't get the salt on it, right? If it's rotten like this, you don't want to buy one of these. Otherwise, hey, it's an excellent vehicle. Heed my warning. Jack it up. Look under it before you buy something and find out that, gee, it's kind of rusted away. Still, it might go a few years. What the heck? But it's not a totally safe vehicle, of course, with it starting to rot out. And eventually, once steel starts, it doesn't stop. And you can coat this all you want. It's still going to continue to rust. You'd have to cut all the metal off. And since it's a unibody frame, nobody really does that. Guys just patch them up and then paint them and sell them to somebody else. And eventually, when they rot completely through, they end up in a junkyard. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Here's a hilarious one showing that politics make strange bedfellows. Finally, the House joined the Senate, and it struck down the Biden EV charger rule that protected Chinese companies. They were saying, well, they want to build all these chargers, right, to get American jobs and build the charging systems to build it up for electric cars, right? Well, it turns out that President Biden waived the Buy America requirements for taxpayer-funded electric charging stations, right? As one of the House Republicans said, Biden's waiver of the Buy America requirements empower our foreign diversities like China by pouring hard-earned American taxpayer dollars into foreign markets. Of course, the problem is, you know, in the United States there aren't that many people that build this stuff. Most of the electric stuff, batteries, chargers, comes from China, right? I guess the Biden administration decided, oh, well, we don't have enough American ones, so we'll waive the requirements that it be an American company, and we can buy it all from China, right? The whole thing is our taxpayer dollars. At least you go to Americans and American companies building the stuff. Personally, I think this whole electric car stuff is a line of horse manure. They did this. We're going to make chargers in America 3 years ago. They said they were going to spend billions, right? And you know how many chargers they built since then and now? None. They haven't built a single one yet. This Electrify America stuff, right? They haven't built a single one that the government said, we're going to spend billions building these chargers. 3 years later, they haven't built a single one. So I guess the government decided, well, we haven't built any, but where are we going to get them from? We said that, oh, we want to buy America, but we'll put a restriction that, oh, we can buy from other countries because there's not enough, and we have to start building them. They're trying to make people buy electric cars, and they find out there's nothing there. They want to make American jobs, but then they say, hey, oh, you can buy the chargers with our federal dollars from China now. Ha! I think it's hilarious that both the Senate and the House said, no, you can't do that, right? As you can expect in bureaucratic Washington, this resolution now will make its way to Biden's desk, and the White House has stated the president will veto it. So he wants to continue to allow us to buy the Chinese stuff instead of American. People need to know about this stuff. That's why I like talking about it. They talk one talk. Don't listen to the blah, blah come out of their mouths. Follow the money. In this case, the money would be going to China to buy these things, and it's not a good thing. Write your representatives. Tell them you think this is disgusting. And if Biden does veto the thing, hey, there's a good thing for this coming election. He's sending money to China. Our taxpayer dollars going to China by these people that supposedly say, I'm going to fix America. Him and his IRA that was going to rebuild America, well, it's more or less destroying America. It isn't building it. Sending more money to China. What's more convenient? We can get it done faster. The government never gets anything done fast. Look, 3 years later, they haven't built a single charger with the money they have. It's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.